Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Films and Stuff podcast. I am Ethan, joined, as always, most valuable Pete. Hey, Pete, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Films and Stuff Saturday. I feel like every week for the last couple weeks, we've had a big Hollywood premiere that we've gone out to see, and we've been reviewing these kind of almost real time with opening weekends for them, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
So we had some big stuff earlier in the summer, right? And then I think last week we're kind of like, all right, well, things have calmed down now. That's the end of the big blockbusters with Fantastic Four. But we forgot the Naked Gun.
That's right. So I doubt that this is going to be a blockbuster. Most comedies generally aren't.
Mm-hmm.
But spiritually, I mean, the Naked Gun series and the Police Squad series was one of my favorites of all time. So
Can I take us back in history to remind us of our childhood and the Naked Gun franchise?
please.
It was December 1988. The Naked Gun, from the files of Police Squad, ! Generated $78 million.
Yeah, that's great.
Then The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, $87 million. Wow. 3 years later, Naked Gun 33 1/3, The Final Insult, $51 million. And then the Naked Gun franchise was kind of mothballed until 2025.
I mean, I'm glad. It was one of my favorite TV franchises or franchises in general.
So the Naked Gun is known for, I think it was inspired by Airplane and Airplane 2. Remember those? Which was also starring
Same writers
Leslie
and
Nielsen.
directors.
Yeah, which is this ultra spoofish play on words. Frankly, these movies play better for a very domestic English-speaking audience. Like there's some movies, let's say like Ace Ventura, for example. You don't really need to know fluent English as a first language because Jim Carrey's physical humor is sometimes so funny that the language of humor is what's understood, right?
Correct.
These movies, Airplane and Naked Gun, are so nuanced sometimes in terms of the words that if you're not a native English speaker or you don't have a really strong command of the English language, a lot of the subtlety of the jokes will be lost on you. There's some jokes that, of course, are physical humor or scenario, are funny, but to be honest, some of it will be lost on you. So The Naked Gun now, starring Liam Neeson, Pamela Anderson, Paul Walter Hauser.
Yeah. Oh, we saw him last week in the Fantastic Four as the Mole
yeah,
Man.
he was Mole Man in Fantastic Four as well. Pete, you and I both saw it. What did you think of it?
I liked it. I was hoping for a little bit more, but I enjoyed it because, again, I have a lot of nostalgia towards the Naked Gun franchise. And like you already said, as you think of the Naked Gun, you automatically think of Airplane, Airplane 2, Top Secret, and comedies of that ilk, right? Which were like these absurdist humor comedies that are parodies / satires, I think Robin Hood Men in Tights, that kind of thing. I also agree with you that the Naked Gun is also almost inherently an American comic. The jokes that are made in the Naked Gun franchise, I don't think will translate well to other countries, not just those that speak English or don't speak English.
You cannot take like a literal translation of the wording. It probably won't make sense. And I think that if you summarize the translation and you try to like put it into like a local type of context, the humor will be lost.
Yeah.
So I agree.
And some of that humor does translate well. Some of it is just physical comedy. Some of it is slapstick. So there was a sequence where Frank Drebin is in a runaway electric car that's been hacked.
Yeah.
right? And he shoots his way out
Yeah.
and he runs into like
The
bees and a
balloons and
bunch
the
of
bees and a
balloons
new windshield.
and then a brand new windshield somehow. That sequence got a lot of laughs
Yeah.
in my cinema hall sitting in India, right?
Yeah.
So those things I thought were funny. Then of course it got heavily censored, but that sequence where they use the X-ray binoculars to spy on Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson, who are in a series of very innocent moments, but it looked very lewd and tawdry through the lens of the X-ray glasses.
Hold on. When was this scene?
Yeah, so I imagine that was entirely cut out for you in
Oh,
Saudi.
absolutely.
Do you remember in the Austin Powers sequence where you just see the shadow and he's like pulling out an umbrella from a
Yes.
suitcase and it looks like he's
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
probed in his
Yeah.
rear end?
That's right.
So there was a couple of sequences like that in this movie using
Oh,
thermal night glasses.
totally cut out.
So there were definitely moments that I expect were very much removed from not just your screening,
Mhm.
but I can tell were heavily censored in mine as well.
Okay. I mean, I think one thing that they did nice on this movie is they definitely paid homage to the original Naked Gun franchise.
Yeah.
There's a continuation of Police Squad. They referenced Frank Drebin, obviously very accurately. They also referenced, what's the partner's name? Ed Hocken, right?
Yeah, the captain in the original.
Right. And then they even,
Nordberg.
it wasn't something that I thought of before going to this movie. I thought it would just be entirely standalone, but I liked the idea that they paid a little bit of homage with, the Frank Drebin Jr., with Hocken Jr., and referencing at least somehow, OJ and
But that's what I mean. Like that's the kind of humor that'll hit in America.
yeah,
But like, is your average British person going to understand why that was a funny comment where he looks at the camera and goes, "No way"?
yeah,
Talking about Nordberg and O.J. Simpson.
yeah,
That didn't translate well here at all for the Indian audience because
mm,
they may recognize O.J. Simpson
yeah,
from the original Naked Gun movies, but they
yeah,
won't understand the criticisms that O.J. received in his, last third of his life.
right. What did you think of Liam Neeson, who's now over 70 years old?
Yeah.
I thought he did a great job with the humor, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Typical good deadpan. I like his gruff voice. He
Yeah,
fit the part. He fit the
I
part.
agree. What did you think of Pamela Anderson?
Surprisingly hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, she's gotten a lot of press, and those two have gotten a lot of press now for their relationship, whether that's true or fabricated for the movie. But I agree that, I mean, someone who's kind of reinvented herself from the Baywatch bombshell
Yeah.
and awful movies like Barbed Wire, where she could only kind of play that one character. I mean, I would not have expected her to be cast in the lead of this, although it makes sense in the sense that she is a big name and probably came pretty cheap. But I agree, like she had way more comedic chops than I would have expected.
Absolutely. It was a welcome surprise. Let's put it
Yeah,
that way. I wouldn't
yeah,
have thought it, but yeah, it worked out. And I thought she was a very good compliment to Liam Neeson.
yeah. The one thing I think we can say about this movie is the runtime is officially 1 hour 25 minutes, which is very, very short, even by our recent
Yeah,
standards. Yeah.
absolutely.
There's something about this movie that's right. Let's get in, let's get out. We're not going to take up your whole evening. We're not going to take up your whole weekend. It's a light comedy that doesn't really offend everybody, and we're not going to take up your time. This is a typical, you're in a mall, you want to see something quick, you have some time on the weekend, you're not really ready to commit your entire evening or your entire weekend or something to a movie. Just come and eat a little bit of popcorn and enjoy it and go on with your life kind of theme. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can talk about like value for money, but that's not really the way to approach this. I like the idea that there's now shorter movies that you could actually plan around a little bit more, and they're not trying to draw things out just for the sake of like runtime. I'm happy to see something that's condensed, hard hitting, and then I go on with my merry life, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that was a welcome thing. In terms of just enjoyability and humor, where did you fall on this? Like, did you laugh out loud? Did you think it was, okay?
I think there were a couple of scenes that made me laugh out loud. The car sequence I thought was pretty
Yeah.
funny. There were a couple of scenes that made me laugh, but not as much as the original Naked Gun did.
I would say that let's use like a random test. If my brother's like, hey, let's go to the movies this weekend, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen Fantastic Four, haven't seen Naked Gun, haven't seen Superman. I'll see any of these. Which one do you want to see for the second time? I think I would see Naked Gun for a second time. And the reason I say it is for two things. One, it's not terribly long. I don't think that having seen Superman and Fantastic Four, to be honest, I don't think I'm going to get a lot more pleasure seeing it a second time. I feel like if I would watch The Naked Gun a second time, there would be a lot of subtle things that I would probably pick up new. Like, for example, one of the things I like to do, and I think you like to do it as well, is when you're at home and you can watch these, and there's like a newspaper or a billboard or something, it's nice to pause and read.
Yeah.
Because usually these are very, very clever, but you don't have the time to catch it on the movie screen. And I know at least in one point, there was kind of like someone held up like a newspaper article. And I feel like the writers take a lot of care to make these really, really funny, but I'm not able to read it or focus on it enough in the cinema.
Absolutely.
And I feel like if I was able to watch it a second time, I'd be like, oh, look at that headline. That's funny. So I would definitely see this a second time, but I agree. I don't think it's like a classic. I don't think it's like that movie that like, oh, I'm having a depressing weekend. What will cheer me up? The Naked Gun, I don't think it's that movie, but definitely it was enjoyable. I got my money's worth and I have nothing but good things to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, as with all the Naked Gun movies and as with all kind of absurdist comedies, the plot is irrelevant. And in fact, the MacGuffin they're chasing throughout this movie is called the actual plot device, hilariously enough, right?
Yeah.
They're poking fun at that. And you're right. The reason you want to watch this a second or third time, which is what I will do when it streams at home, is so that you can catch all the gags you missed the first time.
Mm-hmm.
A movie like this, there's probably a running gag or a visual gag in the background that you missed. Every minute, there's probably 3 or 4 jokes, and you're probably missing a large chunk of that.
It's also a very important litmus test for the future of the genre, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not to put the weight of the world on its shoulders and be like, oh, the future of comedy depends on you. But if it performs well, we could see some other things, come up like this. The rom-com has suffered kind of a similar fate. If it's not going to make any money, people may say, well, this is a Netflix, type of show, or this is a Amazon Prime type of show,
Yeah.
Anyway, that is The Naked Gun. What do we say for our rating? Probably a wait for streaming, huh?
Oh, yeah. This is definitely a wait for streaming. Look, these kinds of movies, I am grateful that they're coming back on screen. As you said, this is a litmus test. I love comedies, but comedies are highly subjective. What I find funny may not apply to you and vice versa. It's a crapshoot. I think that this is definitely a wait for streaming. I think you're not going to regret watching this, but I also think that it's not going to change your life. If Paramount or whoever produced this movie decided, you know what, we're going to just release it directly on Paramount Plus or on Netflix or on HBO Max, I think it would have done equally well.
Yeah. All right. So, Pete, here's the question. You've got to go to the cinema again with a friend.
Sure.
Playing our only 4 films: F1, Superman, Fantastic Four, The Naked Gun. You get to choose. What are you going to see the second time?
Probably Superman.
Huh. I feel like it pained you because you wanted to say Fantastic Four.
I mean, I always want to say Fantastic Four, but like between the two of them, probably Superman.
Why?
I think I preferred the energy level of Superman more than I preferred the energy level of Fantastic Four. I thought Fantastic Four was a better movie.
Yeah.
But I think the energy level was slightly higher on Superman.
I have to say, I'm really happy I asked that question in that way. And I think that your response, I would have maybe said the same answer, but I wouldn't have phrased it in the same way. But I think that you really nailed it on the head, which is it's not end to end a better movie, but definitely it has a different energy, more enthusiasm, more,
it's got higher highs and lower lows.
Yeah. Whereas Fantastic Four definitely hits the baseline, but like if you're wearing like one of those like heart rate monitors, it never kind of really gets your pulse going. There's no music, there's no scene, there's no any dialogue or
were fine, but nothing spectacular.
Exactly. Look, Pete, remind everyone of what our social media creds are, because I'd like some people to comment on this if they've seen it, not seen it. Give us their impressions of what they thought of the new Naked Gun.
Yeah, and tell us, what other movies do you think should come back? This is kind of like a legacy sequel.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Do you want to see an Airplane 3? Is this genre even going to survive? You tell us. Yeah, leave us a comment below, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you know when the next episode of the Films and Stuff podcast drops.
I'll never forget when we saw The Batman with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
I think we spoke for almost an hour and a half on that movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like this has been one of our shorter blockbuster reviews, but to be honest, it kind of fits with the brevity of the Naked Gun as well.
Absolutely.
So I think it's probably a very accurate depiction of the film itself.
Agreed.
Folks, thanks for tuning in to the Films and Stuff podcast. We will catch you next week. Tune in again for more blockbuster reviews. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.